afternoon, and you're welcome to the Corporate Muslimah's Roundtable series. This session was put together to help you get the best out of your business or professional lives, and we hope that as you listen to our monthly webinar, you'll be able to take home a very good portion or aspect of whatever you need to scale and dream big, and even bring those big dreams to life. My name is Mariam Dekoko, and with me here is 3 fantastic speakers that will be bringing home the topic on becoming home to myself. This topic was chosen because we've realized the need for women, especially, to understand themselves and understand what they are, who they are. It really does matter before you can begin to chase those big dreams that you have up here. I'm going to start to my right, and I have the fantastic and beautiful looking Bukola. Bukola, hi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you, you're very welcome. Next to me is Buraula. Buraula, hello.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here.
Same here. And next to Buraula is Fatima. Hi, Fatima. Hi, everyone. So we're going to start this session with a very, very old proverb that says you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to have something inside of you before you can give back. And this means that you have to understand yourself, your weakness, your strength, everything that has to do with you, that is your person entirely. So what am I going to be starting with? I'm going to be starting with Murawa. So I'm going to be asking you, what does it mean to own your life? What does that phrase even mean? How does somebody know what it means to own their life?
Right, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. What does it mean to own your life? I would say that owning your life starts with you being conscious of your purpose here. And when I say purpose, I don't mean the one that we all get so wound up about and get confused and then we don't move. I'm just saying that you are here on earth, you are alive today. Do not let your being here not mean anything, at least to you. Owning your life means that when you wake up in the morning, whatever you choose to do that day, let it be something that makes sense to you. Let it be something that moves you forward somehow, no matter how little. Because the opposite of that would be for you to just be a very random human being, for you to, as my coach would say, go anywhere belly face, which means somebody else is kind of directing you. And this person may not be a person like parent, spouse, society. It could be just ideologies that have entered your head, and you are working with those ideologies without even knowing. So if that's the way you live, then you don't own your life. So owning your life is being aware of the choices you're making every day and living according to what works for you.
Well, I mean, if I was to take back anything from what you said, you have to know yourself. You have to discover yourself, which is going to take me straight to Bukola next. How do you do your self-discovery journey? Is there like a process, a step to it? How does it even happen?
I would say for me, I think the self-recovery journey, it's a lifelong process. And I think first things first is for, like she has mentioned, is for you to first even identify what is that one thing that makes you happy. Because sometimes we have, like, we grew up, especially in our space, our culture, we grew up with the thought of some limiting beliefs. I remember when you shared the questions with me, and I remember, and I was telling my mom that, do you remember that when we were much younger, sometimes you feel that, oh, there is this special thing, or let's say provisions I have to buy for this neighbor. I have to treat her well, and then we forget ourselves. Those are where some of the places where limiting beliefs start to grow. There's this limiting belief that people will say, oh, I'm reserving this particular thing for my birthday. I'm reserving this particular thing for this special occasion. You are the special occasion.
Yes.
That now is the special occasion. Don't push things forward. And during the lockdown last year, it just made me realize how much we as a person, we subconsciously just live in this limiting beliefs. Even when we, sometimes we say, okay, let's be positive.
Yeah.
We do not even acknowledge, okay, this is the state I'm in now. We soak it in, and then we say, okay, what are the steps for me to get out of this? We lie to ourselves. We say, oh, affirmations. And then we keep hyping ourselves. But you know that clothes, I'm saving it till my birthday. But you can wear it now and then just feel. So the little things that we just take for granted is where the self-discovery process starts. What are your values? What are the things that you know that you will naturally say yes to and you naturally say no to? We need to start to pay attention to those things. We need to start journaling. Like, I never used to do, I journal like occasionally. But since the lockdown, I try to be deliberate. You know, when people say, oh, the new normal, what exactly is the new normal? The new normal is what we have created ourselves. You know, so journaling, just sometimes you just soak the moment in and then you play back. Why did I make this decision? What are the things that triggered it? If I were to say yes to this particular thing in 6 months' time, what do I need to start doing now? So those are those little things that the self-discovery process is just knowing your values, knowing what you want, why are you here, know thyself. And I would say that I'm still on that journey, and everybody is still on that journey. She talked about passion. And for me, I would say, some people say passion is something you're here to do, earth and all. But something I just feel, for me, passion is what do you have in your hands now? What are you doing? Why do you just do that for?
Yeah.
Just do it. And don't wait till, when I become this, when I become that. Passion is that thing you find your hands doing. Just do it well. From there, you start to figure out what you really want to do.
I mean, that was really deep. I didn't know where to take the conversation from. And if I was to just put it in one word, you need to know that now also matters. Not some future time that you're thinking of, that you're thinking is coming. So I have to wait till that future happens for me to really live in the moment. And it really speaks to you as a person. I mean, I'm coming towards Fatima now. It's speaking to you as a person. And there's this quote, I think, by some Albert guy that says that for you to be happy, you must not be too concerned with others. What do you think about that? Should we really not be concerned about others, or should we bring them into perspective, or should you just do your thing and then, damn it?
Well, I think I'll start by breaking down the theme of this session onto myself, onto yourself. Like, we're here discussing ourselves, how to discover yourself. So, happiness, being really happy, is a personal thing, is a personal decision. You need to sit down and then ask yourself some certain questions. What does happiness mean to me? What does a successful and a fulfilled life mean to me? What am I passionate about? What are my values? What are my core values? What is my dream? What am I in this life for? You see, these questions, they seem quite simple. But do we really ask ourselves? And do we have honest and sincere answers to these questions? Or we just live our lives based on other people's perception of happiness or success? So, some of us value making impact to the world. Some people value self-development and achievement. Some people value professionalism and designations and all that. So you need to really understand your own self and your own values, not someone else's. That's what will bring you to defining what happiness means, not other people's definition of happiness or people's display on the media or what people have to say about things. There was a time I stumbled upon a post on Twitter that said something about we have a lot of people on WhatsApp precisely that they sell certain goods and products, and then they come to tell us they're CEOs. I'm sorry to tell you this, you're no CEO, you're sole trader. And then, I don't know, I have this particular thing about, okay, that was not really the problem until there was a particular WhatsApp class on the Muslimah Circle group. And it was about positive affirmation and what you think of yourself, and something very similar to this book now. So there was this sister that said when she found this same post on Twitter, she was feeling like, and she used to feel she's the CEO of so stores. So now she's not the CEO. And then it brings back the same question. Do we really have to think what others think of us? So that is what it means. We really need to be happy based on our own definition of happiness, not what other people think. If you like, call yourself the CEO. It does not stop you from being the sole trader of your business.
Yes.
So that is what it means.
Well, I remember that Twitter conversation. It really caused a lot of
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "How dare you? I'm the CEO," and all of that. And really, I don't know if I should say I agree or disagree, but it really boils down to your person. If you saw the quote and decided that you're a trader, then you're a trader. But if you saw the quote and
It's just
decided,
perception.
exactly.
And then people just put themselves under unnecessary
Pressure.
based on another person's opinion. And because someone has a large following doesn't mean the person's opinion is valid as relating to you. So it also comes to the self-discovery we are discussing now. Once you discover yourself, you know who you are. Even other people's opinion, even when you have to now agree with the person, it means that it aligns with what you believe.
I mean, let me come back to you there, Bukola. A fully actualizing person. They have said that an actualizing person is somebody that has known, you've understood, you know where you're going to, you've seen yourself, you know yourself. Do you agree with that? And at what point do you even think that somebody becomes fully self-actualized?
For me, I think it's a nice to have quote. But in all honesty, what does fully actualizing yourself mean? For me, I'm a Christian. Maybe self-actualization is just knowing that this is the purpose. For you as a Muslim, you know what Allah has asked you to come to do on earth. You're following what the Quran is saying. Maybe that. But anything outside of that, I don't know. I think it's a lifelong process. So whoever has that quote, can you point one person who feel as a because I was speaking to my boss some time ago, and he was saying that there is this very accomplished woman, very popular, and the person is also saying, "Oh, I feel I'm done with this particular passion I've pursued for a while." This person is in her 50s. This is something that has been on my mind I want to do. I think I want to just leave this and tilt towards that. So what would you say? It means that it is a process. Once you realize like you're doing your bit in Corporate Muslimah, you can just decide, okay, I'm not doing anything on Corporate Muslimah, I'm going to hand over to a new executive director. I want to focus on Muslims in Hijabites. Self-care for them. It doesn't mean you've deviated. It means that you're trying to just pursue another interest, another passion of yours. So that's where I see it for me. So self-actualization as a human being, I really can't see.
Can I piggyback off of what
Yes, of course.
Right, because I think all these buzzwords are just nice. As she said, it's a nice quote to just repeat. Self-actualization, it's like that word itself. When we look at Maslow's hierarchy, from the survival up to what is the last one? The one above the fifth thing, self-esteem, and then what? So survival, need for love and belonging, and all that. Above self-actualization, there's also like enlightenment, right? So just as Buki said, right? Yeah. There are layers and layers and layers to us as human beings.
Yes.
You never really get there if you are really evolving. You never get there. You find people in their 80s and they're like, oh, I still think I should do that. My father is 90. Wow. And before he fell ill 4 years ago, my father will still be discussing his pure water factory with you, distribution, how the trucks are giving him issues. Wow. Even now, with his agedness, he would remember some things, and you will see that it's as if he's trying to have a conversation around a business in his head. So internally, this 90-year-old man is still evolving. We never really get there. The way God has created us, we are layers and layers and layers. I can't quote the Quran verbatim, but it's like in us, the universe in us is probably more complex than the universe we see externally. Which is why it is very tragic when human beings just remain static. And they're like, this is my bus stop. So I'll do civil service for 65 years and when they kick me out, that's it. The 50-year-old lady who is now moving on to something else, it's her soul seeking more expression.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with it. we keep changing. As a 10-year-old, you may want something, and then at 20, you want something totally different. I could have done that for 10 years, and when you're 30, another thing comes up. So, self-actualization, nice word, but there's no bus stop.
I mean, I couldn't agree less or agree more. Like, you guys just hit the nail on the head. And so we've talked about what you should understand as per your journey. We've talked about how you have to discover yourself. We've talked about how you cannot actualize fully. Life is a journey. You keep moving and moving. So, Fatima, I'm going to come to you. In understanding all of this, and when you now finally get to the point where you realize, like Rola said, it's a layer, there's another layer after that layer. How do you then begin to show yourself love when you get to each of these layers? Because you may get to this next layer and you feel, yes, I've arrived. And then the next layer is like, what? What's this? How are you like this? So how do you show yourself love in every part or every stage of this journey?
Loving oneself is very, very important in all of this, because it is not enough to say you want to pursue a dream if you don't love yourself enough, if you don't appreciate your own self towards the journey. So in all of this, showing yourself love does not actually mean you're being selfish towards other people around you. That's where empathy comes in. In the process of loving yourself, understanding who you are, falling in love with everything about you, you, as a result, show everyone else around you love. So loving yourself shouldn't or doesn't stop you from loving others. It doesn't mean you're being selfish. And well, I used to tell myself this, like you earlier said, words of affirmation. I believe so much in it. Because I remember growing up, I used to feel like, well, Fatima, you can't put on this clothes because you won't look good in it. I define myself already. And if I'll be walking past five girls on my way to school, I already know, okay, this first lady, she's putting on a skirt and she's looking very perfect in it. I'll have to put on a skirt tomorrow. So growing up, I realized that I didn't love myself enough. So words of affirmation worked for me perfectly. So I start introducing, speaking nicely to myself, speaking kindly to myself, saying nice things to myself, celebrating myself. I look in the mirror and just tell myself nice things. That's where words of affirmation come in.
Wow.
And I also get to understand that you need to understand your own love language and then speak the right language to yourself. Yes, it's just like I'm a French, or okay, let me just say I'm a Yoruba girl, and then I'm speaking to somebody else that is not a Yoruba girl, and I'm speaking Yoruba to the person. So it's just like I'm speaking Yoruba, it is entering into her here, but her brain is not processing Yoruba because she does not understand Yoruba. So I'm just speaking nonsense or not speaking at all. So I need to find a way to communicate with her. Then we can have this cordial relationship, maybe eventually start becoming friends and all of that. So speak your own love language. If I think there are 5 or 6. So if your love language is words of affirmation, you speak nicely to yourself. That works for me. I am great. I'm
awesome.
Yes,
I think everybody should drop in the chat room one word of affirmation to themselves. I am awesome. Bukola, what about you?
I am beautiful.
Yes.
That's so cute.
I am uniquely created.
Wow.
I have it in me.
Yes.
So I embrace positivity. I am stepping into this greatness. Everything is working in for me. Everything is working for my own good. Everything that happens to me is for my own good. You know, all those nice words. And if your love language is words of service, acts of service, so you create time for yourself to do something unique for yourself. If it is receiving gifts, you buy yourself things that you need, no matter how little, just something small to appreciate your own self. You don't have to wait on others to do these things that you need or that you want for you. You have to show yourself that love first. That is what loving yourself means in all of this.
I don't even know where to pick up that from because I mean, look at how we are proceeding with the conversation was starting with knowing you, owning you, how you get to the layers of you, loving you. Because I'm coming to you now. See, I'm turning to look at you. So we've gotten to where you now love those layers. That is you. But we are human, and somehow you now begin to say, I want to do ABC. It may just go wrong. Everything can just stumble, can just scatter along the way. No, I don't want to go anymore. Let me just stay in this corner. So at what point do you begin to be excited about what's going to happen next and stop being afraid and just do it? Do it unafraid or do it afraid, whichever one that is applicable to you. At what point do you start doing that?
Okay, so I would just say from experience, you really cannot ascertain some things on your own except you discover. First, this is a very good platform. This is a good community for you to even know that, okay, once I'm part of a community, I get all the motivation I need. My fellow Muslim sisters, my colleagues in the office. Nobody's an island. And I will take us back again to the lockdown time. Like the lockdown time was a whole new self-awareness for me.
COVID was interesting.
So we thank God for COVID at least.
Something came
And
out of it.
yes, and you realize that the amount of anxiety, depression during that time was increasing, even though people were supposedly at home.
Yes.
What is your relationship with your family? What is the relationship with your friends? Do you have a community like this platform that you can just call someone to say, oh, Gura, I need to just talk to someone? So I think it is very important for community. Another thing is, it's maybe very, I think it goes with your point of loving oneself. Sometimes you just realize that your room is so scattered.
Yes.
Have you thought about it? Let me just, when you clean out your whole space, it's not as if you are even maybe decluttering. You're just sweeping underneath the chair, underneath the table. How do you feel afterwards? You feel like your head is clear. Like, okay, I can now see my road. What is what I thinking? All of those little things that we take for granted. You don't need to, we're talking about peer pressure and all of that. I lost a friend who, because he was owing someone, killed themselves.
Wow.
Can you imagine if that person had opened up to speak to? I'm not an expert in that space, but I just believe that find a community is actually very, very important. If you cannot join platforms like this, go to the mosque, go to the church, just find someone that you can confide in. Speak to your prayers, be open enough, because once you are open enough, you can, a lot of things at least will be solved. Just be open. Another thing that also helped, I mentioned journaling, and in that self-awareness process, self-love process, as we already rightly mentioned, you need to start writing the things down. There's a particular book someone shared with me, because I told the person that, I'm in this evolving stage, and the person was just laughing at me, and the person shared a book with me. I'm still reading the book. The book is called Living Forward.
Moving forward, okay.
It's a very small book. It's not even up to 200 pages. And the book just practically states, I'll share it with you so that you can just share it with everyone. And the book just states how you can write, what do you want people to say at the end by the time you're gone? Because nobody knows when we're going to die. We are all on a journey here on earth. So when you sit down to just write, okay, these are the things I want to be remembered for. These are the things I want XXX to say. And the book is so detailed, it will tell you, list the people that you know, at least 10 people. What do you want Wura to say about you? What do you want Miriam to say about you? What do you want Bookie to say about you? And then by the time you write it down, then you start to play back. What are the things that I will do to Miriam that will make her say that thing? So it's a very, like when I said it, I was like, who asked her for this? I can't remember that. Bookie, you said you want to be deliberate about these things. You have to be deliberate about it.
Yeah.
Because it's a tedious one. It's not something you will do in a month. You have to be deliberate. Write it. And that thing is gratitude. And it's very common. Even me. Sometimes I just, when I look at other people, I'm just like, what am I grateful for? It's a very, 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 very wrong thing to do. Like gratitude is just one thing I've learned. Even when things are going bad, even when things are so blur, just look for at least one thing to be grateful for.
Well, I am grateful to be here today in the midst of all three of you.
Same here.
I'm so happy that I'm getting to learn this firsthand. I hope you're also getting to learn things firsthand. And this is just to remind you that if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat box where you're viewing from, and we shall attend to them. And
in addition to the assignment you give to them, I think the second one should be clean your space. No matter how big or how small it is, please clean your space. And then send a message to Corporate Muslimah to say, after I cleaned my space, after I declutter my space, this and this and this was how I feel, or these are the things I found. Some people are looking for money to find their money, some their wedding rings. Just do that thing. And then I think another assignment that I also gave myself while studying for this session was to just take myself out.
Oh, yes.
Some of us don't do it. And see, it's part of the unity belief.
Yeah.
And yes, I was telling my mother that just reading this thing that Miriam asked me to come and talk about today, I was so angry. Because when we were young, Momsi would buy provisions for some other people, and then we would just be here to tell us to be drinking sachets to me. She was like, no, they are visitors. No, you have to take yourself out. And she was laughing. She was like, this is girl, you're something. But it's serious, because we do things for other people and we forget ourselves.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about if you don't love yourself, there's no way you can love others. It's not possible. Do you understand? So you said you have to feel yourself before you can give.
Yes.
So love yourself, take yourself out. Even if it's Olaya, just enjoy, take yourself out. And then at least that's the beginning of the process of breaking limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that one of our last 2 or 3 weeks post on Corporate Muslimah's Instagram page was really around personal goals, environment. So we're treating the wheel of life concept, which we had done in our goal setting on the 4th of January, and we got to personal physical environment, and we have people saying, Ma'am, I don't understand this. How does cleaning my space, because in the video we used, we did a very clustered office and a very well cleaned and well arranged office, with a very clustered kitchen, a very clustered living room, and a well arranged version. And people are like, oh, so even in the little things of even clearing your space, how does that physically or mentally help you? And some other people came back to say, when I was cleaning, it felt like I was cleaning my mind. I was getting rid of the things that I don't need in my head. And all of those things, they really just sort of worked. I'm coming to Fatima now. We are not perfect people, right? In everything that we try to do, in all the things that we try to put into perspective and pace, we will find some sort of imperfection in it. So in this imperfection, how do you come to love the imperfection? And my question is again around imperfections and laziness. What is the difference? Because you cannot say, I am imperfect, when in reality, you are just lazy. Yes, so can you speak to that?
I'm very happy you're going to
I think I was going to. I will not in this case.
Well, laziness is just you trying to do away with work. You're avoiding work. You don't want to work. It is different from imperfection, and we should really not put them together. Because I'm not doing this, maybe because I don't feel like it, does not mean we're imperfect humans, Jare. I can always do this later. I cannot ahead. So being lazy is different from being imperfect. We as humans we're fallible. We're about to make mistakes. And the best of us as fallible humans are those who try to work around their imperfections, try to learn and relearn and outgrow some things, leave them in the past, and work towards, even though we're not perfect, but work towards being a better version of you. So I think the steps to understanding the difference between imperfection and laziness, like you asked, is that even though we know that we're imperfect, we need to still work on it. We need to still work towards perfection. So avoid using your weaknesses and imperfections as excuses to not get things done.
Yeah. I'm passing the baton to Brown. So just add to that.
It's a double-edged sword, I think. Because if we're saying we will not be stuck in the imperfection, there is also this challenge of seeking perfection. I can't relate to the laziness bits. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to even begin to say laziness looks like somebody not doing what they need to do. Laziness is somebody just being slothful and then waste their time, right? In turning up and doing what you need to do, because you're a human being, as she said, we're fallible, only God is perfect.
Yes.
There will be imperfections in everything you do. The analogy somebody gave way back was, for every telephone, no matter how amazing it is, they will bring a revised version of it in a few months. It is in the old model that they found something that was not quite right, and then they did it better the next time. Which does not mean that they will not have up to 5 more versions of it over the next 10 years. So continuously, there's room to be better. However, you don't now say, yes, there's room for me to be imperfect, and then you do not strive for excellence. Striving for excellence is very important, but it's continuous. You don't then get stuck and not, for example, you have a product to launch, you have an idea to share with your boss, you want to start a business. You cannot wait for it to be a perfect idea before you go to the market. It is in going to the market you get feedback of, oh, this is not working and that is not working. Then you fix it and go back with an iterated version of that product, if you understand what I mean. So there's always room to be better. There's always room to be better. But we shouldn't get stuck in seeking the ultimate of perfection, because it's not going to happen. Otherwise, we'll not do anything. Right.
I'm still sticking with you because my next question is really with you.
Okay.
I mean, but before I would ask that, I would just put a bit of a background to that. Early this year, in fact, as at December 15th, social media was populated with goal setting, sack, track, set, smash, this, that, coming, succeed, asking. It was like a song.
Yes.
You know, you would go to this page and this person is already a coach. He's talking about how you can smash it, set it, kill it, 2021, bring it on. And then somebody is telling you, remember 2020, we all failed though. And I'm like, how did we fail? I mean, so that we even survived COVID, but we should be grateful that we survived it and we are here. So even now say, whatever I couldn't do in 2020, I'm bringing it back in 2021. So on goal setting, when should you chill? When should you just say, you say at this junction, I cannot come and go and kill myself.
Should I cancel that in Yoruba?
No,
they want to marry me.
Exactly. So at what point do you really just take a chill? And then because we are trying to tell people also that don't try to use laziness to cover up not wanting to do something. But should we really chill on this goal that we've set, that we've been setting since 2019, that 2020, helped us to redesign in timing and then bring it to 2021 as a carryover. So should we really chill? And if we should chill, when should we chill on our goals that we've set?
Off the top of my head, this reminds me of a session I ran 2 weeks ago on expert series. I have a community, and I really wanted to touch on the support system you mentioned. Just very quickly, support system is so essential. It's like your sanity valve, right? People come on the group, some people can come at 11 in line, like, my husband just said he wants to eat jollof rice. and I am mad. I'm booking it though, but I am so upset. And she's ranting, and we're begging her, and then we just go on for like 30 minutes, and she's done, and then she's off, right? Support system is so essential. So this WhatsApp group, Sisters in Business, that I run, is not a WhatsApp group; it's a thing actually. But we have a support group online, and my talk that Wednesday, which is probably my first or second in the almost 1 year we've been doing it, was why you will not achieve your goals again in 2021. And people are like, And where I was coming from is that I have a thing against procrastination. That's another. Yeah. Okay. So it was that. Yes, you're setting the goals. Yes, as you said, there's just all the programs, all the trainings, goal setting, get smart goals, get gratitude, all sorts of things in that space of December to January. Okay, now you have the goals. Is it the one you carried over from 2020, 2019, or 2016, 2015?
Or fresh ones.
Yeah, or fresh ones. Okay, so this is January 19th. How far? What have you done? Because if you've done nothing January 19th, it's not likely anything will happen February 19th. And that is how you keep pushing it forward. So I don't think it is as much as actually setting the goals and going for the classes, whether you pay for them or not. Whether you pay for them or not, it is, number one, are those your goals or goals you think you should have? Is it mommy saying you need to do this MSc or apply for civil service school? Or is your husband saying, I don't want my 9-to-5 wife, you need to start a business? Meanwhile, your heart is in 9-to-5, or you want to go into academia. So you're setting goals. When do you chill? I don't think it would be ideal to say to chill per se. But not as much as you should own what it is that you've said you want to achieve. When you own it, you can then pace yourself. Chilling will come in when you are using somebody else's clock to run. Because you'll be under pressure, you'll be worried, and you're measuring Sister A with Sister B with yourself, and you're like, oh, they've done X, Y, Z, and I am still here. That is when you'll be frantic, and you'll be scared, you'll be worried, and then you actually need to chill. If the goals you have set are your goals, they come from your heart. I call them heart desires, and not just head or society pushing you. You would know how to pace yourself. You will be true to yourself. It all comes down to what Buki and Fatima have said. Do you know who you are? Your essence. If you love yourself, if you're doing the love language things with yourself, you can assess yourself and be true. Ura, you have slacked here. You know this week you should have called that person and made that set up that meeting, so that next week you would have the meeting, and then you're moving forward in your goal. It's just tiny steps all the time, and it accumulates. But we want to achieve everything for 24 months in 3 months. So it's a balancing act, and it starts with the sincerity of intentions with whatever it is you're going for.
I mean, I would just shift the baton this way and just jump to Bukola. She has really touched a lot on why, in fact, even spoke into why your self-growth may be stalled. Starting with, are the goals yours, or is it somebody else's perception of what you should do, what you should be, where you should go, and how you should go? What are the other things that you can also speak to that can make somebody's self-growth to slow down or even stop? And then they just feel I'm the problem when they are probably not even the problem.
I really like her perspective at the goals you use. I really like that. That really stuck. Because, number one, why are we putting pressure on ourselves?
Yeah, why?
Why? Like she rightly mentioned, yes, you can even set the goals, but it's the tiny steps. What actions are you taking? There's a lot of noise about this goal setting, at least since 2019 or so, and some people just want to have nice cardboards.
Yeah.
Some people they're not just applying themselves. One of the major things I would just tell people is just take it easy on yourself. are you where you are supposed to be?
Yes.
Because if you really are going to do the audit and sit down, because why am I here? And you replay it, you take your time to replay it, you really know that you're actually where you're supposed to be.
I like that.
Sincerely, you want to be XYZ, what have you done in the past? She talked about actionable steps. What have you been doing bit by bit? Have you been doing it? You've not been doing it. So just take off the pressure off yourself. You are actually where you're supposed to be. Like, I am a very big believer. Even when I say, you're supposed to do XYZ, but I remind myself that, hey, you want to do it. What did you do yesterday? What did you do last month to be able to achieve that thing?
Right.
So, we should stop putting pressure, and it's the same for young people. Don't put unnecessary pressure on yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself. Calm down, take it easy. Then when you now realize that, okay, I have set these goals, I need help. Hence, it means that you are now thinking of, okay, which direction should I go? But don't just set goals. You put it on yourself. That's like when I was talking about affirmations. I really like affirmations, but a lot of affirmations, you actually do not mean it. You are just saying it to look good, to feel among, to be cool, you know. But you really do not mean it, because what you are actually confessing, your affirmation, does it tell you what you want?
Yeah.
Does it align?
An alignment.
You know, I should sit down and just say, oh, I want to be an actress. Like, what have I done? Where? How? Am I just not just deceiving myself? So it can be very funny, but the thing is, we have to be deliberate about what we really want. And then don't put yourself under pressure, start to run helter skelter. Because when you run helter skelter, the thing you really want, what are the things that you naturally say yes to? What are the things that you actually say no to? What are the things that will tickle your fancy? When someone mentions this to you, you just say, yes, I want to be part of that thing. What are the things you should tilt towards? And if you know that, okay, this is where, I'm here now, this is where I want to be, then you can write it down. You can start to visualize it. Who are the people I need to talk to? I need to talk to Fatima, then Fatima will introduce me to Wura, and then Wura will introduce me to Miriam. Then I will now, even when you don't even follow through those steps, but you have it written down.
Yeah.
You can go back to it and say, okay, this is where I stopped. Then let me pick it up from here and run with it.
I mean, that's a fantastic one. And in everything I can even pinpoint from what everybody has been saying is that someplace in between, you can be a masterpiece. In between it, you can also be a work in progress, right? But I mean, for this session, I really went ahead to look for quotes. And I found this one that said, let me read it verbatim. You are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. So that was the one that caught my attention. So, Fatima, I'm coming towards you. How can I be a masterpiece and a WIP at the same time? This same me, like this. Is it possible? Do you think that it's something that is doable? Or do you think that you have to be one at a time? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, being a masterpiece, first things first, being a masterpiece is being the best at what you are, being the best version of you. So, once you've realized in all of this what you're passionate about, what your dreams are, what you want to achieve, your strengths, your weakness, and all of that. Once you've come to realization of that, and then you've accepted yourself, you've loved yourself, there's self-acceptance already, then you work towards achieving these dreams. Those little steps, as you have rightly mentioned, you are now working towards achieving them. You are the perfect you. You are the masterpiece. It is in you. You are the greatness. But now you're working towards being that best version of you. You're not settling for just sitting down and saying, oh, I am, greatness is me, Fatima. As the word of affirmation, I am great. But I am sitting in my house, sleeping and waking up every day. So is the greatness coming to my doorstep to meet me? No. I have to work towards it. I have to do things. I have to not sit down and settle at just saying it to myself as an affirmation. So that is where work in progress rather. That is what it means. Working towards greatness, not just settling for less. Accepting what you want to achieve and going for it. That is what it means to be a masterpiece and to be a work in progress simultaneously.
I also want to add to what Fatima said.
Okay.
There is a particular book I was gifted, I think 2018 or 20, I can't remember. And that book is so good. I've not read the book this year, but I try to read the book every single year just to remind myself. So the book is called The Alchemist. And the summary of that book is just put it in this very funny saying that the two way they find go shukoto, they for your shukoto pocket. The two way they go find go abia, they for your you know?
Yes.
Like that's just so. And I would just encourage everyone, if you can, I think there are soft copies online too, just go and read the book. They're just stressing over nothing. Like just take it easy on yourself. Everything you need is just around you. It's just around you.
I need to have your kind of friends.
Okay, so I'm going to just take another question before we look at whatever other questions our viewers have. And this one is really around taking action. You know, taking action is very important after we've done what we want to do, where we want to go, how we want to do it, And there is a point where you now see somebody, the person is sitting like this. You've taken action. What's going on? You see, it's just that, so when I got there, it was now, and then when they give you those reasons, the reasons are very okay. They are perfectly okay. I mean, you think about it, you're like, what makes sense now? I mean, it's okay. But the question now is, when you hear logical responses to inaction, and they seem to be okay, well, I'm going to you now, and they seem to sound justifiable. And somehow, because people keep saying, oh, your questions are okay, some people begin to make them part of them. Now, what are the antidotes that you can give people to help them, or to ensure that they don't always find the perfect answers to inaction? Because some answers are really, like, what have you not enrolled for the certification? My salary was cut to it, and the money that I'm using is no longer enough, and I have to add my nephew, my cousin, my brother, my sister, my auntie's auntie to the people I now take care of. So if I do certification now, we'll be drinking Gary, and you're like, we are so COVID affected, we're so sorry about that. And you know that person is like, okay, they accepted that one. Next one I'm going to bring another perfect answer, another perfect answer, another perfect answer. But sometimes the person knows in him or herself that they are giving logical answers to their inaction, which is resulting from their own person. So what antidotes or what steps or what can you prescribe to people like that to help them not continue to give perfectly logical answers to inaction? I mean, it's a really deep one, but I've come across people who do this, and they don't know that subconsciously it is beginning to become a second part of them. And really, I'm even going to allow all of us to speak to that.
So I'm going to buy time by doing and going into the question of work in progress. What you said about where you are is where you should be is something I learned in NLP. You're exactly where you're meant to be, right? And you are here because of all the choices you made previous. That's what brought you here. And you're a masterpiece because you are a masterpiece, full stop. There's no need for an explanation for that. But the work in progress is a continuous thing. Now back to the question you just threw. It is complicated because we are tempted to sympathize with this individual. And this individual could be very well ourselves.
Yes.
Because we find the best reason why we can't do what we need to do. And it sounds logical. Anybody would agree and say, yes, it's justified that you couldn't take action because of XYZ. And what I would ask the person, especially if I begin to see a pattern, is, so let's look 24 months from now. You use the example of the certification. And this certification, if you were to do it, automatically, once you pass, you are promoted, no questions asked. So I say, imagine, if you will, some protege you had who was in secondary school when you graduated university, and then you are working this job 5 years, and he now also graduates. So you're sitting on this certification you need to do. So this young chap suddenly ends up in your office as well. You are about 7 years ahead of him, age-wise, career-wise, and everything. And you've been sitting on the chance or the need to do the certification regardless of the challenges in life. So he comes and he does the certification and he passes. And the company standard is, regardless of your experience, once you get the certification, you are automatically at a level. So this child becomes your peer. This child, he doesn't have bukata. He just keeps blazing. He writes the second level. They may not promote him out of hesitation that, okay, now you actually need experience. You can't just be flying because you have paper qualification. So the second year, they don't promote him, but he has the second level. And you are still where you are, no certification at all. The third year, he writes the third one, and he threw himself into work. He's working like a madman. He doesn't have any reason to go home and not work weekends, but you have a family. So he's in the third year of work, he's just the third level, and then he becomes your boss.
And then you now feel
We're looking into the future. He's a humble guy, he's not rude to you, he's very chill, but he is your Oga. You have to report to him. You do not have the qualifications he has. If we were to even look at it, maybe he has now somehow managed to put in more hours in 3 years than you have in 7 years, because he doesn't have any reason to slow down. He's driven. And for all you know, you may even be his mentor still. I want to be like uncle, I want to be like...
The way Fatima did, that's the level of the bad boss.
That's thank you. So, the ability, our imagination is so amazingly powerful. We should be able to terrify ourselves by thinking of the future we are creating by not doing what we need to do. That fear should drive you to do what you need to do. It's also in that imagination you should get pumped up and excited by what can happen if you do what you need to do. Because when you see, if I write a paragraph every day for 1 year, I've got 300 paragraphs. Oh my God, I'm supposed to have a book at the end of the year. That should make me wake up 15 minutes earlier and just type something instead of going to comment on Instagram and Facebook and be doing tatafo up and down. A paragraph a day is 300 paragraphs in a year. That should pump me up. If I'm not writing the exam I should write, then I can then say, okay, then my child will be in secondary school and then I have to put her in a government school because I can't afford it. And then all the pictures in your head should drive you. I think that's one powerful tool that we can use to encourage people to, in spite of how challenging it gets, just push through. Yes, things would come, they are valid. But it's not only one way you have to solve a problem. Still on this case of certification, what about get somebody to sponsor you? What about tell the company, take it out of my salary for 5 months. So the money does not even come to me. Maybe it is money that I have, aunties, uncle will borrow from me or take from me. Everybody go there, all right, last, because the dependence never stop, the challenges never stop coming. Things will always come at you.
Yes.
And sometimes, I should add, we just think we're the Messiah. It is you everybody is counting on. You're the one that will solve the world's problem. No. It comes back to self-love. If you do not look after number one will be left behind by everybody you looked after. And then you're not the one panhandling and being donated for. When God had already made you set forth ahead of them, and you should have kept moving no matter how slowly or painfully. Just keep going so that you don't end up now becoming a liability as well. You should be a matter of collective growth. Yeah, you don't need to be a martyr because you want to save people around you.